Hello, my art-loving friends. I know we are far into January and I'm pretty late getting this video out for you, but I did want to show you what I had included in my 24-day gift box that I released last year because everyone's been asking me what was in it, what were the activities, and I am really excited to show you. It just is a lot of videos to go through, so it took me a while to get it to you, but let's just jump right into it. Everyone's Advent box came in this bright red box. Unfortunately, not everyone's had the pretty green ribbon on it, but it is quite fun. So when you get into the box and open it up, on the top there is going to be a read this first sheet, and it has some instructions and the website of where to go for accessing all the videos included in this Advent box. This is a 25-day Advent box, and it was advertised as a 24-day, but then I was able to have a bonus item. And what you're seeing here is just some extra stuff that I had left over from the Advent box I did in 2023. So I thought it would be super fun to throw in a couple of bonus things and see if anyone might enjoy using them. I love these little sketchbooks, but I ended up with about 30 of them left. Some fun little pencils and sharpeners, which is great for a future activity. And then these very specific scrap pieces of paper that are 100% cotton. And they're in there for a reason. It all gets explained in the video. Speaking of videos, included in the instructions were how to access this website here. This will change every day, or would change every day for them as they came in here. The top video would be the current day's video. All the other videos down below would be locked. And you can see that our videos for every single day, including the bonus day, which was at the top, as well as links for written instructions and why things were included in the gift box. The welcome video they could watch without any spoilers, which was great. And then as the days unlocked, these other videos became available, as I mentioned. Back to the box. This is how everything came packaged, and it had to be put in completely out of order in order for it all to fit in this shipping-friendly box. So first thing they had to do was unpack it all, and that's what it looks like, all unpacked. And then if they chose to, well, they didn't have to unpack it. It's just the easiest way to find everything. And then if they chose to, put them in order, because there were usually more than one gift in each day. And then people who had written instructions had this white envelope that they weren't allowed to peek in, and they needed to reach and feel and pull out only the topmost sheet of paper, and that would be their gift reveal and why it's in there and what it is and information about it. And this is day one. There would also be written instructions for the videos, the tutorial activities that were included when we had days with painting activities. However, this was the Etcher B5 sketchbook, and this Advent calendar is not one where the best gift's the last one, because it just doesn't work that way for my Advent calendars. Some of the best stuff needs to come first in order for the projects to happen. So this is a cold press 100% cotton Etcher Everyday B5 journal, and it is an absolute delight to paint on. Etcher watercolor sketchbooks, if journals, whatever you want to call them, I usually call them sketchbooks, journals interchangeably, are my favorite. Once they get to look at that, they can go back to their instructions. That first sheet that says read this first reviews what to do each day. So it says to find your gift, open it, and then pull out the piece of paper for that day's gift, and the piece of paper will have their instructions. So there's a QR code and a URL, which I have blocked, showing them how to get to their video and instructions for that day. And on each sheet, I also have the value of today's gift and value of the video, because I did have to give that value. Those took me hundreds of hours actually to do the videos. And it also has the total value of the gift box so far as we go on day by day. So they never had to guess at the value of each item and the value they were getting in the box as of that point. On day 2, there were actually 3 gifts, because they needed 3 gifts in order to do a painting activity for that day. So in this first little gift is, can you guess what it is? A collapsible water cup with a lid and a carabiner and a strap and the cutest bear with ears and feet that keep it much more steady. You can open it and collapse it to certain heights. Anyway, you guys all saw this if you watched my gift ideas for artists video that I put out in November. It is a fun little cup. I use it. I have them with me actually on the trip I'm on currently. The next item they received is a Princeton Aqua Elite round brush. They ranged in size from 8 to 12 round long, and I received the 12 round. I love these brushes. They are just super easy to use for your entire painting because they come to a really fine point when wet, and so you can get into small areas and it's just not a big deal. You can use them for your entire piece. In the last little gift bag for day 2, yes, we're still on day 2, is something incredibly fun and exciting. Wrapped up in this little package is the Della Magna Indian Indigo paint. This is so delightful, and what I have found out is that this brand re-wets like a dream, at least in the few colors I have tried. So everyone who got the advent calendar gets to try a Della Magna watercolor. In addition, there was a little video tutorial for doing the very first page you open when you open your sketchbook. They could either choose to follow along with me or do their own thing for their first page, but this is what we did, and we just used the back of the sticker sheet included for their palette space since they didn't have any mixing space yet, and that worked fine. On day 3 now. Day 3, yay! You can see what we received already, and what do you think's in the package for day 3? Can you guys guess? It is a custom-made palette by Zach Jackson over at Arts to Embers. 3D printed specifically for this advent calendar. You will find this palette nowhere else. And if you open it up, it is another advent calendar in and of itself, because you are not allowed to peek under these until it's that day. So we've already gone past day 1 and day 2, and we're on day 3. So we could pull the number 2 sticker, for example. And if there were a number 3 sticker, we could pull it for day 3. But day 3 does not have any paint. It is just this palette with this extra advent inside of it. So it's an advent inside an advent. I was very excited, but I did have to put all those stickers on there myself. I just didn't want anyone to be like, oh, what is the word? Have a spoiler for the size or shape of something that's supposed to go into the watercolor palette. So I covered them all. While there was an instruction sheet and all of that and a video that went along with this, as you're watching part of that video right here, I show them how to take the number off without peeking through the others and put in the paint they already received, their Della Magna Indian Indigo, into it. And I told them that they should and could paint in their sketchbook with their indigo or any of their other watercolors if they wanted, that they did not have to wait for me and the next day's activity, but it was up to them. Moving on to day 4, they received 2 gifts again. And as usual, there's a PDF instruction sheet or a written one they can pull out, as well as the video they can access once the day unlocks, which happened at midnight, although it happened a couple nights earlier than that because I have to do that manually. But they received these 2 bulldog clips, and these open really wide. So you can use a sketchbook that's super fat and they'll still hold it open. They can clip around a large amount of pages. See that? Look how wide that opens. Very nice. And they're flat edged, so they don't dent your sketchbook as quickly or easily as the rounded edge ones. In the little package is another fun surprise. This is a paint called Ocean Glass that Zach Jackson, the same gentleman who made the palette from Arts to Embers, he also has watercolor paint that he sells. And this was his favorite color. I asked him to please include a color that was his favorite color that I could purchase from him, and he chose this Ocean Glass. And it's a really soft, lovely color. So now they do have to pull the Advent number off of their palette without peeking under the other numbers. And they can put their day 4 paint in that day 4 slot, and then we will paint today's activity with our palette. So the video for today, or the written instructions, show you how to do 2 different activities actually. Add a little bit of color here to your welcome page using the same swirls. And then we also painted a fun monochromatic, mostly monochromatic mountain scene. We did go in and add the ocean glass, basically a glaze over some areas of this mountain painting. But those were our 2 activities for the day. So I valued the gifts today as $9, the video tutorial at $15, and that made the total value of the box the total you're seeing right there on the screen. This brings us to day 5, and for that I got them a Zebra Z-Grip mechanical pencil, and the tip did retract all the way to the inside so it won't poke through your bag, and it has an eraser built in, and it's the 0.5 size so that it doesn't leave such thick lines on your watercolor paper. In the other little gift bag is one of my absolute favorite colors that Rosa Gallery makes. I'm admiring how cute the bag is because it's adorable. Anyway, one of my favorite Rosa Gallery colors, which is golden yellow. This is a PY110 with excellent light fastness, but the beauty of this paint is how it brings a life and brilliance to anything you use it on. So the activity for that day, one of the things I encouraged them to do was to do some mixing with the colors they now have. 3 colors, the golden yellow, the ocean glass, and the Indian indigo, make some really pretty greens. And then we painted this fun drooping flower with a dark center. This is just a really relaxing way to paint a flower. You just get the petals wet and do them individually, and then we glazed in some ocean glass over the top of some of the areas and then made the really dark center with the Indian indigo. And that brings us to day 6, where we have the refills for the mechanical pencil they received in an earlier day. And in the other package is something, again, that's super fun. It is the Rosa Gallery's Golden Brown. This color was gifted to me by a friend, and I have loved it and used it a lot. So in my palette, this is one of the pans that is starting to get a big dip in it. So it's not even close to the bottom yet. It just has a big dip in it. So this is a fun one to use for sure. It's a dark brown with an intense amount of granulation. It is one of the neatest colors. It's perfect for rocks and buildings and things like that. And there's an example of what it looks like finished. So that was their activity for the day, and this is what it looks like in their actual sketchbook when we finished it. So I had them paint it near the bottom because this is going to turn into a full-on landscape painting that we will add to day after day. Day 7 is these 2 little gifts here. And the big one is a permanent marker. This is the same permanent marker as I put in my advent calendar in 2023 because I really like it. It has a nice thick felt tip, but it's still way smaller than a Sharpie, and it works really well, and it is waterproof / water resistant. And in the little package there, we have a half pan of the Da Vinci Red. Now this is a repeat from my 23 advent calendar, but I wanted a beautiful red in this calendar, and this one is a PR254, which is my favorite red pigment, and their pans were all completely full. I just had one already that I was using to demonstrate for them, and mine isn't quite full, but theirs were packed. Isn't that a beautiful red? And to use the space above their flower, I encourage them to practice mixing some purples because we're going to need some purples for the next activity. And this is an empty space in their sketchbook that they could use up for that. So you can see the ocean glass and the Indian indigo actually made pretty similar purples. So this is their activity. We're just putting in some cloud shapes in the sky, mixing those different purples that they practiced with on the previous page. And this activity was short and sweet and hard to beat, but there's a lot more to come. Day 8 is this fun roundish package, and inside is a tape roll. Now this is also something that was in my 2023 advent calendar, and I included it because it's amazing. Now this little half pan here was not full in anyone's calendar because this was a color I did not anticipate I would have, but I ended up with a bunch, and so I thought giving them a little bit of this would be better than none. It is the Da Vinci's New Gold. So it is Da Vinci's version of what they are hoping to replace basically PO48s, PO49s, that kind of color with. So you can see it's just a deep, rich, orangey gold. More mixing practice, and we're going to add this to the sky in our landscape for today's activity. And I skipped ahead a bit, but this is basically how it turns out so far, and we will come back to that. So for the next day, day 9, we have 3 aquatone watercolors in little sample pans. And if you peel that off from the palette, there are slots that fit that perfectly. And those slots do have holes in them, so you could put magnets if you had metal pans. These are plastic pans, so they can just use a glue dot or just put them in and they'll pretty much stay fairly well, but I just included the glue dot that was holding them to the paper to stick into here. So I wanted them to try these colors out. They're all pretty dark. So we have kind of a dark purple and a kind of a black and another one that's more gray but purple leaning. So you can see here for the activity, we were painting these distant mountains with these colors. So we didn't use the third color, the oxide black, but we did use these 2. Moving on to day 10, we have a very similar looking package as yesterday. And when we open it up, there are 2 more aquatone watercolors, Flaming Red and Ultramarine Violet. Those are both really fun colors. I would have loved to have included more, but those are the only ones I had in tube form with enough in them to put together for everyone's Advent box. It's a lot. We had to pour a lot of paint. I had to pour. Tori didn't end up helping me this year. I was working on it when she was at work, unfortunately. But there's the Ultramarine Violet. Here's the Flaming Red. And our activity for the day was to paint these Christmas ornaments using some of our new colors and some of our old colors. So we're using the Ultramarine Violet for the purple baubles and the new gold for that one back there. And the Flaming Red was the one in the front. And this is the ocean glass, just to shape it up a little bit. And we use golden yellow for the tops of the baubles and either golden yellow or new gold or a combination of both for the strings. So you can see the running total of the box up on the screen there. And we're moving on to day 11, 2 packages again. These are fun ones. The Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White in a very small container. And this is the Daniel Smith Undersea Green. Theirs were not messy half pans. Theirs were clean half pans. I just used the one I already had in one of my palettes for demonstration purposes here. And then, yeah, I put in these tiny little containers, the Bleed Proof White. The problem is it dries out much more easily in those containers. So before you use it, you need to drop a bunch of water, and it kind of ended up not being as awesome as I had hoped, but that's okay. The Undersea Green makes up for it because it's an amazing color that I want in every palette I have. It is granulating, gorgeous, deep green that's just perfect for trees, bushes, all kinds of loveliness. We are adding to our landscape here with kind of a tree mountain layer. It's really fun to see this coming together. So we just have to soften out the bottom so it doesn't create a weird line, and then we're going to add some grass around the rocks with this Undersea Green. And I did darken it in this with some Indian indigo, so it's fun to see all those mixed together. Moving on to day 12, we have a 31 Purple Fish full size watercolor pan from 31 Purple Fish. This is very exciting. She made this color just for this calendar, so it's not available on any of her previous releases that I know of. Well, maybe her previous releases, but she said it was going to be exclusive for this calendar, so took her word for it. Berry Haze. It's a fun granulating purple, and I know we had just gotten the Ultramarine Violet, but this is a completely different hue than the Ultramarine Violet. And their palettes already had the magnet for this slot because Zach knew this was a metal pan coming in. So everyone's pans will magnetize to that. I didn't have magnets in my particular palette, but everyone else did. And the demonstration, you can see the finished picture here on the left, was painting this little seascape scene with the dog sitting partly in the water on the sandy part of the beach. Anyway, I love this one so much. And you can see that purple, or the berry haze. I kept wanting to call it purple haze during the Advent videos too, but the berry haze is the purple color you're seeing. And then we're adding golden yellow and new gold and all of that into other areas. So this is definitely one of my favorite paintings of the whole Advent box. We got to use our bleed proof white a little bit. We got to use our tape. We got to use the new color and some of the colors we already had. And it was just fun. There's a couple of others that are also my favorites coming up. Moving on to day 13, we have a core watercolor, QOR, transparent pyrrole orange, and everyone else's half pans were completely full to the top. I'm just using one that I already had. In addition, we had these B watercolor paper samples. They are 100% cotton. It's what I use in my beginner watercolor classes. I have everyone buy them. And this is what that beautiful transparent pyrrole orange looks like. It is one of my absolute favorite oranges. If I have to choose just an orange, that's what I choose. And this here is the project we did for that day. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing, just here at the end. And we can tape it into our sketchbook if we choose to, but it is on the B watercolor paper. And the next day, day 14, 2 gifts again. In the little package, we have a half pan of Rembrandt's Ultramarine Deep. Rembrandt, in my opinion, is kind of an unsung hero of watercolor. They are strong, they are reliable, and I am surprised more people don't use them, and it must just be that they're a little bit harder to get to. You can see here we have a magic sponge. This one is so much fun, and on the day 14 there are 2 empty slots in our palette that we get to unveil. One fits this sponge perfectly, and of course the other, number 14, fits our Rembrandt Ultramarine Blue. And for the project for day 14, I wanted to use the transparent pyrrole orange a little bit more, as well as the ultramarine blue from Rembrandt. So we are painting this cute little bowl of oranges, and you can see the total value of the gift box so far. And I am including the video tutorials in these total values, which I've mentioned before, but I will show you the value of the box without the video tutorials included, although they take the most of my time, so it is important that they get included. So here is day 15, and we have a fun beam watercolor paint. You guys, these are amazing. This one, it happens to be the cherry magenta. It is a PR 202, and the color here that I have chosen for this Advent box is very pigmented, very strong, very beautiful. And these retail for about $14 each. Not for about. As of the time of recording, all of their paint stones are $14 each. We also have a sample of the Fabriano paper that was included in last time's Advent box. It's 100% cotton, super nice, 3 sheets of that. So I had them cut it down and use it for today's project, and you can see the retail value up in the screen there a few moments ago. And for this, we just did something super simple using the colors we have plus the new color to make some gift boxes, and then we're leaving the project like this for these next days. Day 16, Fall Poplar Yellow from Beam Paints. It is a PY154. Very beautiful, very bright, very strong. I absolutely love these 2 colors, and we have a custom slot in this palette just for these paints. And Beam does sell refills for your little carriers. I don't know what you want to call them, but for the project today, we are putting the ribbon on this little gift box and doing the outline with our permanent marker that we received in the box. So the retail value you saw previously, but that is the project for today. Day 17, 2 packages, again 2 gifts, one being this wonderful, incredibly unique Cotty paper. It's 100% cotton. And we also have the A Gallo Naturno in a half pan. And the reason I'm showing my palette here of my A Gallo paints is because I did not have enough of these to keep one for myself, but I did have a Nuturno in a palette, and it would go right here in this little bottom corner. And for now, I am using it out of the palette that I have. They're taped down, a little hard to get out, but look at that beautiful color. So another granulating purple, completely different hue than any of the others we've had. You can see the value of the box so far. And for today's project, we just painted this background and the glow around these presents using that fall poplar yellow. And while that is a bright color, it's not quite as bright as the camera showing it. And then I'm taping it into my Etcher sketchbook. For day 18, bolder colors. These are so exciting. We have one beautiful color today. One of my favorite colors actually of this entire set. This particular color is called Sand Cherry Green. It is made from the sand cherry tree, and it's a beautiful green color, at least this time of year. This color can change based on the time of year, but for now we have this beautiful green, and you're going to see it in an upcoming project for one of my most favorite projects out of this entire Advent gift box. And what I'm describing here is that the palettes that everyone else receives has the magnet in the bottom because these are in metal pans. This is Sand Cherry Green, and I have this plant in my office already that is a spider plant, I have learned. I don't know plants all that well, so we are just sketching it. I provided them the photo reference from the plant in my office. It's a fake plant, but I really enjoy fake plants because I'm away from my house and my life so much that I can only have fake plants. It was super fun to paint because we got to use that extremely bright beam fall poplar yellow, and we got to paint over the top of all of that with the sand cherry green, and we got to use the ultramarine blue from Rembrandt in the vase or pot, whatever you want to call it, probably a pot. And so we got to use all these colors again, but just seeing that sand cherry green go over the top of that yellow just was really striking. And then I used the indigo for all of the little colors on the spider plant itself. So this was a really fun project. Day 19 is another bolder colors quarter pan, and then we have all of these Fabriano 100% cotton postcards. They are so nice. I printed the postcard information on the backside myself, the lines, the place for the stamp and all of that, and cut them all myself. So lots of work there, but they're very nice to work on. Very fun. And then we have another bolder colors quarter pan in a metal pan. This one is pine cone brown. Can you guess what it's made out of? Yep, you guessed it. Pine cones. This is a lovely brown color, and we actually needed some browns in our set here. So we peel off day 19 here from our palette. There is a magnet in the bottom of everyone else's palette, so it will stick and stick it in there. And we are ready to go for today's activity. And I know I've already said this project is my favorite or this project is my favorite, but this one is so fun. It's also one of my favorites, which I guess it's good to have a lot of favorites in a gift box like this, right? Because it's fun to have things that you enjoy doing. So we did this on the Cotty paper, actually, not the Fabriano postcards, but I wanted to tape it into the sketchbook where I was doing all the other projects for this Advent box, and you can see it flips up so I can do the other projects underneath it. But that is it for day 19. On day 20, we have just one gift, but it's a good one. There's two things in it. We have bolder colors, more quarter pans. We have one called Avocado Pit and one called Dandelion Yellow. And these are lovely colors to add into our collection, although I would say the Dandelion Yellow is a little bit like some of the yellows and golds we've already received, but I didn't always have a choice on which colors that I got for this box, so we're doing the best we can. And one of the most fun things to do is to peel off the stickers in the palette for that day's number. We have two 20s today, and you can see when we pull them off, we have slots. Everyone else's will have magnets in them to stick down, and our new colors will go right in there. Now today's project, we get to first sample these colors and see how they compare, but we are going to do this leaf. And it's so fun to do fall leaves because you can do them in so many different ways. And you can see that I have the finished product up there on the bottom right corner, the reference photo up on the top, and I just show them how I would go about painting them with the new colors we have. So I am trying to use just the bolder colors for this, although I do pull in a couple of other colors like the Core Transparent Pyrrole Orange for a few, I don't know, a little bit brighter color to add in there. It's fun to use them all together, and that's how this turned out today. And I'm just taping that tree back over the top of it. Day 21 is another thing that is truly unique. And I'm probably not spending enough time on each of these in this little video, but there's so many days I have to get through them quickly. This is the Art of Soil watercolors. So these are soil-based. Sometimes a little bit of pigment is actually added. A lot of the pigment, though, is soil-based. Go figure. And they're just really unique, wonderful watercolors, and they re-wet really well. They work really well. They're just something you don't see every day, so it's fun to try something new like that. In our palette, we have 2 day 21s, so we are just going to stick them in and they fit exactly in there, and you can either connect them to the bottom with a glue dot or water. These colors are goethite and hematite. So again, we have another kind of gold leaning yellow orange color. But it's fine because every color is unique in its own way, and these are especially unique because of their makeup. So there we have it. For today's project, we are going back to our landscape project and adding more to it, and maybe even finishing it up. That is a beautiful color, isn't it? Using that hematite and the goethite, we are putting all the finishing touches on our landscape project, and that is the last time we will have to turn back to this page and we can consider it finished. On to day 22. Can you believe it's day 22 already? 2 packages, one big, one small, and in the big package we have 2 reverse coloring pages. Now these are artworks that I created myself and then printed in bulk format on these cardstock sheets so that we could reverse color with them. It's so much fun. I don't know if you've ever heard of reverse coloring. If not, just do a quick YouTube search on it because there is a ton of information out there about it. In the little package, we have one of Etcher's pearlescent watercolors. These are only available in sets of 12, so the fact that each person in the Advent calendar got one individually is very special. Very unique, and they all got different colors. Going over to our palette, we have a number for day 22. That one there is where the Naturno is supposed to be, but I'm using it from my other palette, and there it goes. Yours will fit in your slot perfectly, and you have a lovely pearlescent color to add to your palette collection. Now, of course, you need to activate your pearlescent watercolors, and then the projects for today are to add to all of your pre-existing watercolor designs where a pearlescent watercolor might be appropriate. So you can see we did the strings and the baubles. We did the ribbon here, and we'll add a star and ornaments to this tree here. Anyway, it was just a super fun day because you got to go back to your previous projects and add this embellishment, and it just really brings things to life. I love it so much. Oh my goodness, how are we on day 23 already? This is a very special day. Day 23 is Della Magna's Quinacridone Gold PO49. This is the original, the OG Quin Gold, and Della Magna still has a supply of the PO49 pigment, and everyone who bought my Advent calendar gets to try out this very special watercolor. The only drawback is here we have yet another gold color. I bet though, if I didn't point it out to all of you, maybe you wouldn't have even noticed, but I couldn't help but, because that's a lot of golds / yellows, but this one is so super special. I was very excited to be able to include it for all of you that bought the calendar, and I think you'll treasure it. I hope you'll treasure it. For today's project, I really wanted to highlight this Quin Gold, this very special color. So we are doing this gold colored feather here. It is really fun because you can do it as loose or as tight in a style as you would like. And I kind of did a little mixture of both while keeping the background more loose and flowy with all those speckles and dots and smears of color. It was a fun project, and I hope everyone who bought this calendar enjoyed this project because it was just a relaxing one. It wasn't very stressful at all. So what do all of you think about PO49? On to what would have been the last day. We have 2 presents today. In the very big package is something very special. These are coloring pages from my own drawings that have never been released before. So I have a kitty coloring book, as you know, that has been released, and this little character here is part of that kitty coloring book. However, this page was not included in that coloring book, and it's one of my favorites. So everyone who bought my advent calendar gets this special page. And the other coloring page is from an Inktober that I have not quite finished, but I started drawing, and I don't think anyone has seen these cute little gnomes, but I chose a page from that I had mostly finished and finished it up and put it in here as a coloring page. This is on 100% cotton watercolor paper. It's either Fabriano paper or New York Central 100% cotton paper. So the painting experience will be quite enjoyable. And to go along with today's present, we have in the little one, the Viviva Colors mini color sheets. Isn't this the cutest thing you have ever seen in your life? So this is a selection of 5 colors that are actually perfect for getting a variety of colors. One of them is a pearlescent color, the one on the bottom, and that obviously does not fit in your palette. So we will just keep this one aside. It will fit in your palette just laying it on top of the other colors. But for today's activity, we are just going to use the color sheets to paint this gnome scene. Now I know they say that the last day of an advent box should be the best day, but as I mentioned already in the beginning of this video, that's very hard to do when a lot of the really cool stuff that people need to work on each day's project needs to be given in the beginning. However, I did feel for me, and this is why an explanation from the curator of a project like this is so important, is this was very special to me. Having you guys have access to pages that no one else has access to felt special, and these pages are special to me. Also, I really like these Viviva color sheets. They're bright and vibrant, and you could use this little mini bookmark color sheet for several projects. I didn't even get close to using up all of the color in each of them. However, as you know, maybe you don't know, I don't know if you know, but there is one extra bonus day coming up, and I think that definitely makes the entire Advent project come to a beautiful close. And we will get to that right after we finish this coloring page. And the day no one was told about, no one expected, but I couldn't help putting in was the bonus day. So as you know, we have a very exclusively shaped palette over there with very unique sizes of watercolor pans. I'm trying to think of how best to put that. I think that sums that up. So what I put in for day 25, and this was thanks to the suggestion by Zach Jackson of Arts to Embers, was an insert where they could use this palette however they want in the future. So it's not just a one-time use palette for these particular shapes. So it is just magnetized in. You can see that there. I pulled it out, and this insert just magnetizes back in. And he suggested either all full pans or all half pans, and I said, hey, what about a suggestion of both? So we did one that fits 12 full pans and 12 half pans, and that's what everyone received for their bonus day 25. If you have full pans and half pans, they will fit right into these slots, and if you don't, you can pour your paint directly into this palette if you would like. So while there was not a specific activity for bonus day, hopefully the gift itself was enough of a bonus for everyone. And I do encourage in everyday's video that you keep painting. There are so many pages left in the Etch Your Sketchbook given in this Advent box that I encourage you to keep playing. And we have so many fun colors now as well. So let's take a look at everything we created using the supplies in this Advent gift box. Back to our sketchbook, our cover page, 2 different colors, a few different days, our monochromatic mountain and lake scene with some birds. You have to have birds. Our beautiful droopy flower, our landscape scene, which we came back to day after day. I thought that was so fun to do that, just keep coming back to a painting and adding to it. Our Christmas baubles, our very fun doggy ocean sky cloud scene. I really like this one so much. The dog is my favorite. The tulips with the bright orange background, the oranges, the gift box. That's on the Fabriano paper. Flipping the page to the spider plant, which I actually never finished this one. I finished it in my practice sketchbook, which I will show you here. There we go. I'll have to finish that one still. I still haven't finished it. It'll be in my unfinished paintings list. Anyway, I really like that one. The tree to the right there on the Khadi paper. So fun with those pearlescent baubles and the shiny star and the overhang of the tape. Flip that up and we have our fall leaf. I actually want to redo that one. There's so much more I can do with that one. The golden feather using our PO49. There was my practice piece. That one is really fun. And then the coloring page that we did. And there are a couple coloring pages and the reverse coloring pages that I haven't shown you here. So today's gift, the last day's gift's value was worth $20. The total value of the gift box I put at $633.95. However, if you take out the value of the videos, which I don't think you can take out, but if you do, the total value of only the art supplies included in this box was $373.95. I do hope everyone who bought this box finds it a good value. I have heard nothing but good feedback so far, so thank you for that. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.